Hi, I'm Brett Dillon, CEO of the Dillon Group, Inc. Today I want to talk about two things that are killing your ability to focus, and it's based on an article that was written by William Treseder. The first thing that kills your ability to focus is we are overwhelmed by the number of distractions that are flying at us from all directions from all of our connected devices. We use these devices and this technology to increase our connectivity to other human beings and improve our lives and improve our productivity. But what we found is all of that increased connectedness ends up distracting us more than it does helping us. And there's lots of research on this, so if you want to argue with me about it, feel free, but you're arguing against a gigantic body of evidence that says that being over-connected is not being very helpful. The second thing that's killing our productivity, according to this article, is that we rely on meetings as the default way of interacting with other people at work. And that can be a gigantic problem. When you're surrounded by meetings and your day is filled up with meetings and you spend more time in meetings than you do actually getting things done, your ability to focus becomes diffused because you're spending time on this meeting and you're focusing on that, and then the next meeting you're focusing on something entirely different, the next meeting you're focusing on something entirely different. And what happens is there's residue of each of these mental activities that we're engaged in during these meetings sticks with us and carries over into the next meeting and the next meeting and the next meeting. So even our ability to focus on the issue at hand, even though that's the only thing we're looking at, is impacted by the previous meetings and the fact that our brain is still noodling on things in the background that happened in the previous meetings. So the good news is William Treseder offers some suggestions on daily practices to help improve our focus. First thing, practice mindfulness meditation immediately upon waking. So as soon as you get up, practice mindfulness meditation. And one of the mindfulness meditations that I find very helpful is focusing on my breathing. And so when you first get up, just spend 10 minutes focusing on your breathing. And the way you do that is you count your exhalation. So you breathe deeply, you exhale. Breathe in through the nose, exhale out through the mouth. And when you're done exhaling, you count 1. And then the next one, you count 2 upon exhalation, and then 3 upon exhalation, and so on until you get to 10. And then you start over at 1 again. And when you catch yourself losing track, because your mind is going to start chatter, when your mind starts chattering at you and you lose track of what number you're on, and you realize, oh, I've lost track of what number I'm on. You say, thank you, mind, for bringing all this chatter up. Go back to counting at the number 1 and start over again until your 10-minute alarm goes off. And then you know that you've accomplished something. The more you do this, the more you're going to be able to stay focused on counting your breaths in a very mindful way. Pay attention to the sensations of your body as you're doing the breathing exercises. Another thing that he suggests is to organize tasks. And you organize your tasks so that you're doing the more complex tasks when you're most productive. You do your deep work when you're most productive. And for most people, that's in the morning. But you need to track when you are most productive because you're a unique human being. And when you're productive the most, your highest time of productivity throughout the day may be different than somebody else's. Very likely is. So track when you're actually being productive and then block your creative and complex time out so that you can do those tasks that require creativity or tasks that are really complex during the times when you are naturally most productive, and then shove all the shallow work, push all the shallow work, the checking of emails and all the other stuff that isn't really that productive, shove that to those time periods when you are naturally less productive. Again, for most people, your highest productivity takes place in the morning, and your low productivity time is in the afternoon. But again, you're a unique human being, so track your own productivity times and schedule based on your productivity times. The third thing that he suggests is to eliminate clutter. Clean off your desk. I used to say that a clean desk was the sign of a dirty mind, but I looked at my desk and I justified saying that because my desk was extremely messy. I manage using the hemorrhoid method. I've got piles of paper all over the place, and that's what I manage by is I know what stack the projects are in this pile or that pile or that pile. Well, managing by piles is a terrible way to manage projects. And what I've ended up doing is my desk got so cluttered that now I just have piles of papers on it and I actually work somewhere else. So I need to take this myself and go clean my desk off and start the new year with a clean desk. And at the end of the day, make sure that everything is back where it needs to go so that I have a clean desk. You also need to clean up your computer desktop screen. So your computer desktop screen can become a source of great distraction with all of the cluttered icons all over the screen. It's not very helpful. A lot of people say, well, that's the only way I know how to organize things. Well, that's just a digital version of managing by piles. Don't do that. There's a better way. Clean everything off and put it in an appropriate place. The other thing that you need to do is clean up the home screen on your smartphone. And one key to productivity that I have found is I wear a watch. And if I want to know what time it is, I look at my watch. Before I got the watch, I was pulling my phone out and I would check to see what time it was. And then while I was there looking at the time on my phone, I would say, well, while I'm at it, which by the way are the 5 most expensive words in the English language, while I am at it, let me go ahead and check my email. Let me go ahead and do this. Oh yeah, well, I have this random thought. Let me go search the internet for this. Oh, here's what that leads to this. And then I find I simply wanted to check what time it was, and I frittered away 35 minutes of my life. So clean up the home screen on your phone so that you don't have a bunch of icons on there to distract you and get you thinking about all kinds of other things, so you can focus on what is most important, the things you should do, not all the things that you could be doing. He also suggests that you turn off notifications. It turns out that even if your phone just buzzes, that little distraction of the phone buzzing creates about a 5 to 10 minute window where you've lost focus, and it takes 5 to 10 minutes for you to get back into the groove of doing your work. The other suggestion that he makes is to shrink meetings. A meeting, in order to be productive, should have less than 8 people in it. Well, 8 people or less. And unless it's an informational meeting. If it's an informational meeting, then you can have all the people in there that need to hear the information. But if it's a meeting that's designed to actually produce something, less than 8 people is ideal. And you want to make sure that each meeting results in action items with timelines for achieving those action items, and one person that's going to be held accountable, responsible, and has the authority over those action items. One person. There's no such thing as team accountability. You can only hold one person accountable for achieving something. And then they will actually ensure that the team achieves that goal through their influence. But you can only have one team leader. The minute you distribute accountability, it becomes nobody's responsibility, and it will not get done. The last thing that he suggests is that we preserve buffers. For every 45 to 60 minutes of meeting time, you want to make sure that immediately after that, you've got at least 15 minutes, and possibly more if you need it, at least 15 minutes to process what happened in that meeting, to reflect on what happened in that meeting, and to prioritize what you must do now that you've had that meeting. And so you need to create these buffer zones. If you have back-to-back meetings, your residue of that meeting is going to carry over into the next meeting, and it's not going to allow you to focus on the things that you need to in that next meeting. So make sure that you preserve these buffer zones. I hope this has been helpful for you, and if you need any other help with this, please check our resources on our website, thedillongroupinc.com, under our blog postings.